Good morning. This is Reid Seals for AM 1340 WGRV. I'm here for our monthly interview with Greene County Mayor David Crum. Good morning, Mayor Crum.
Good morning, Reid. Good morning, Greene County.
Well, my first question has to do with Comcast coming to the commission meeting. What is going on with Comcast that a representative came to the commission meeting?
For several months I've had Commissioner, in particular Commissioner Quillen, and other people commenting about Comcast, and I had sat down with them a few months ago and really got into more detail on their pricing structure and some stuff, and that was the direction I was hoping they would really go last night. They got in, I thought, a little more products than what I was kind of leading on.
Felt
how
like
they,
more of a commercial.
Yeah. We didn't talk before the meeting, or I'd have probably got them, because I think that was a lot of the questions regarding service and things, but did come out as I guess our local call center is in Knoxville, and there's the office here at Town Square if someone has a problem. And one of the comments came up, commissioners asked a question about, someone's bill seemed to be inconsistent. One month it would be this, another month that. My recommendation is take those bills and go in and make an appointment or set a time with that person to sit down. What is the difference if it seems to be fluctuating? I mean, mine's always the same. But, has someone in your family watched a pay-per-view movie that you didn't know or something? So, I would suggest has there been something that has changed the reason it has, because mine doesn't, so I'd assume most people shouldn't fluctuate. And so go by that office and set up if there is a problem there. And I was hoping they would go more into the actual numbers of, I think it's 15 customers per mile, then they're supposed to provide service, and so that was the things I was hoping for, but they kind of got a little bit more into the service, as we say. So I may kind of direct them and ask them to come back in a few months and really focus on that type of thing, on how their cost structures, but to kind of pass that along. One of the things that was interesting, they said that, and I hope I'm right in this, that like half of their cost is in networks for sports. And they have to kind of buy bundles. I use the example, if you just need transportation and you don't mind a little four-door sedan, straight shift, no radio, no air conditioning, and you take that basic plan, but you may want that one feature and you have to buy it in a package. And so if you want just the basic cable and all you want's the Food Network, you can't just add the Food Network. You have to add what that package is. So that was one of the things I did learn when I talked to them, is it can't just pick and choose those specific channels you want. It comes in a package, and that's how my understanding is they kind of have to buy it by the package.
Well, now the hot topic for right now. Tell us what is new with the budget.
We're getting there. We're real close. There's not been a whole lot of really requests. The judge, that's been a conversation we've had a lot. Judge Bailey would like to have an additional sessions judge. We've not heard back from the state, but that would be something that the commissioners would have to choose to fund or not. Couple areas that I've asked for an additional person is building, planning, and zoning. We've got two people in that office, and as far as codes inspectors, the town of Greeneville has two. So you can imagine the much more area we have when you have to go out and inspect footers and different things in the process of building a house. I think the estimate is 4 to 6 trips per each home to do inspections. And, if you hopefully we've turned the tide and there'll be some additional home buildings, and if manufacturing and some of that picks up a little bit, it's like a 2-year curve from the time a person starts at that office till they can take all the tests and things and be certified. So we really need to start that process of having someone else coming on board to where we can provide that service. Also, we've had some conversations that's come up here lately, and just at Animal Control and the Health Department. We kind of made an agreement a few months ago that Animal Control would take over the welfare investigations, and the Health Department would do the bites, animal bites. And they're kind of overwhelmed with that, because it's kind of the same people that do that have to go out and inspect restaurants, hotels, tattoo parlors, and a whole list of other things. and they're running into problems there. So we've talked and kind of health and I was saying, let's ask for a person an additional animal control so all that process is under there. But there's not been a whole lot of extra requests except for the big things. And we've talked about those big things pretty much my entire term. That just look at our courthouse, we're getting the roof replaced. The steps look good, but the rest of the building needs a real makeover. I mean, going in and fixing the water damage that's been done for years. We had an employee that came last month and showed pictures. The election office, we've repaired those steps, but if you look, the roof and the softening and the guttering and all that needs some major repairs. The MS office over on Summer Street, its roof's leaking. The radio system at Highway Department, that Highway Building and Zoning and Animal Control all use, we're leasing a tower, but if that tower tears up, the company's basically out of business. So as long as we want to use the tower, so that's a radio system that we desperately need to look at. That's about $150,000. So, and the reverse 911, how that's going to be paid and things, and that conversation. So we've got some large items that we really need to look at, long-term capital projects, and putting a funding in place so that repairs and maintenance and those things that are large ticket items, that money can be there. I personally do not want us borrowing money. I kind of believe in financing and putting a financial plan in place to where when you need, for me on the personal level, you can go buy the things that you need to operate government. And those are what we need to really be looking at, putting that plan in place for the capital projects, not just now that we've needed to be looking at, but on down the road, the 4 or 5 years. The front loader trucks at Waste Management, the newest one we've got, is 10 years old. And those things, the amount of miles that we put on is one thing, but just the wear and tear on our roads and going around convenience centers and hauling product is just hard on them. And that's where we've had some terrible problems in the last 3 weeks of those things breaking down. And we're just on the last leg of those. And you're talking $250,000 in that area for one of those trucks. So we just need to do long-term planning and not be looking, and that's really what we focused on this year as we prepared the budget, not just looking at a budget that's year by year, but putting a plan in place that will lead us down the road.
Well, the airport's another hot topic when it comes to the budget. Do you think the airport is important to Greene County, and if so, why?
I do, and I think not just the economic development as people fly in and out that's looking to locate manufacturing or have manufacturing here. A lot of those executives fly in, they visit maybe the John Deere, the other factories, and they leave to get back to their location. Some of these executives, you don't want to take out of their office for a day and a half, 2 days while they travel to get here. They want to fly in on the corporate jet, take care of business, and get back so in their office to take care of it. And the second part is a little bit, I mentioned last night, is kind of that recreational that can help fund the airport, I think, if we make it attractive for that pilot that has planes out here, that wants to fly into Greeneville. It's like, okay, we're going to get out and take the Sunday afternoon flight or Saturday that, okay, there's a great show at the Impact. Let's fly up to Greeneville, go over, have dinner somewhere, go to the Impact. So it draws, and as people are looking to move, and it's funny, I was actually at a training some years ago, and there was a lady there with the FBI that she and her husband were pilots. Mm-hmm. And she mentioned, well, I hear there's a little airstrip in Greene County that has homes around it, talking about the Hensley Junkie Air Park up there. So that's a group that really communicates. So I think it is, and if we can get past this kind of hump and move forward and market it right, I think the airport is a tremendous asset to our county. And I always say 99% of the people will never get on a plane and leave, but your economic impact to this county, to 100% does have an impact by the airport. It's an infrastructure that I believe needs to be provided like so many others.
Well, we're going to take a short break and come back with more with Greene County Mayor David Crum. This is Reid Seals for AM 1340 WGRV. Good morning. This is Reid Seals for AM 1340 WGRV, and we're going to continue our interview with Greene County Mayor David Crum. Our next question is, can you update us on the courthouse repairs? You mentioned them earlier, but what's the updates?
Yeah, been a little frustrated. Mel has really been keeping track of their work, and he called, and I tried to call last week, but they've promised us that they're on the roof and going to get that thing finished, and so hopefully in the next few weeks, because I've been a little disappointed. I've been a lot disappointed in the time frame that they've got up there and got it done, and so we're kind of pushing them on their case a little bit. It's like, you got a building right on Main Street that everybody uses. You need to get it finished, and so hopefully that. But it's not leaking now. To say that they have removed and put on, and so they've got it covered to where it's not leaking at this point. It just needs to be finished up around the edges.
And now the hard question. Will taxes be raised this year?
Well, I can't vote for that, but I can take that to the commission, and we've looked at it in great detail, and I don't like to throw that out a whole lot before the commission gets a look at their long-term processes. But if we're going to fund county government to provide the services that we need to provide, we've got to finance it. And the comment came up last night, look at Hawkins County. Do we really want to be in the paper acting like that we can't afford to take care of our buildings, that we can't afford to fund our education, that we can't afford to provide those basic services? I mean, if we go to $2 straight across the board, inside and out, we're still like 12th out of the 13 counties of Upper East Tennessee. So our tax rate, even if it increases, and we're not, is going to still be one of the lowest in this area. And we have costs that go up every year. I had a gentleman called one day. He'd gone to the convenience center and it had closed in time. As we talked, I said, well, it cost us like $824,000 a year just for the garbage to be disposed. So when you start getting down, digging in, there's just a lot of cost to providing the services that we have to provide. They're required to. And so I think it's time to look at the long-term financial. And talking to our budget director, we really believe that we can set a plan in place that if we hold everything revenue neutral, we're going to have, I think 2015, we'll be out of debt. So if we can put a plan in place to hold us for some years, and we believe it can, that we can put a plan in place that can hold us, and we can provide the services, can buy the equipment, can do the repairs and stuff that need to be done, and that's what the commission will be looking at. Is, do we want to look long term, or do we just kind of want to sit here and hope the buildings don't fall down and the radios keep working?
Okay. And tell us what events are going to be going on here in Greene County.
It's just a busy time. I guess we've got graduations coming up this weekend. We've already had, the schools are doing a great big study right now looking at the long term. We don't know what that'll come out. They've had a couple meetings at South Greene and North Greene, and they've got two more that'll be coming up in August. That's a large committee. It's just not a small group that's kind of making that decision and giving input to the consulting group. So they've got a lot going on there. Veterans Day, the traditional, and one that continues to be the one that we recognize, will be May the 30th at 11 o'clock down at Veterans Park. You've got Mossheim Fun Days coming up June 4th. This weekend's the Irish Festival. You've got, Clint Black and Marshall Tucker at the Impact. And I'm sure there's probably stuff going on at the Capitol with the Irish Festival and stuff.
Probably so.
You've got the YMCA will have their triathlon June the 10th.
And you're competing, right?
I am. It can be an individual doing all three events or a team. I'm doing the bike event. So I've been riding a little bit lately. I kind of tease that whenever I do a 5K, I always say I don't want to be last and I don't want to die. And looking at this course, as you come, it goes from the Y out to the 4-H camp and back. And as you come out of the 4-H camp, coming toward town, it's basically uphill on Allen's Bridge till you get to the intersection with Old Asheville Highway. So I teased my wife, I said, go there and wait, because if I have a heart attack, that's probably where it's going to be, because it's a long uphill stretch. But I think it will be fun event. We don't expect to win, but we expect to have a good time that day. Been getting out doing some riding. The weather's been great, and strong spring and summer's here. It's just beautiful in East Tennessee as things are blooming. So get out and take a walk and enjoy some nature. And I'll kind of quote one of our favorites that comes a lot: plant some wildflowers. Get out and just enjoy spring and the events. And I'm sure people out there listening can think of other things. Look at your all's website for a list of things going on over the weekend.
Thanks for the plug right there.
Yeah. We'll kind of mention our clinic if we've got time a little bit. We're kind of process. Greene County has a clinic for their employees. We've been able to hold our health care costs consistent for about 4 years, and I credit the clinic for a lot of that, because we allow our employees to go. They participate in the biometric screening, so it's able to identify them by them getting their medications, being compliant on the high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. We think that's helped keep our health care costs down. It's hard to communicate with all of our employees, so I want to take this time for not just them, but help the public to understand that we believe that health clinic helps us save in the health and welfare of our employees, which makes not only healthy employees, healthy families, and a healthy community, and ultimately saves us cost if we're doing that as we are. We're in the process. We've negotiated. You've been in a lot of those meetings, and we're moving away from the providers. Premise bought out of Transform Health. Excuse me, and we're moving away, and in the course of negotiation, we've negotiated with Tacoma to take over that clinic. They'll become the provider June the 5th. They've bid out some of the services will stay the same as far as labs and those things, but Corley's is going to be the provider of pharmaceuticals. They bid that out. We just look at the overall clinic provider. I expect there'll be little hiccups, but the clinic will be open. We'll be providing services for our employees and those covered lives of that. So I don't want our employees to worry about the clinic's not going away. It's going to be there. They enjoy it as far as providing their medical care. So we're going to kind of ease a little bit that first week for the transition and stuff, but we'll be open, and we're actually adding a person in there where they've been calling out of state to make their appointments. We'll be making the appointments and stuff here. So I think that's been the one thing that I've had complaints about since I've been mayor, by employees having to call that out of state number. So that's a really great improvement.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Mayor David Crum. And we will see you next month at our monthly interview. And thank you from AM 1340 WGRV. This is Reid Seals, and we'll be right back.